Hi there, my name is Megan Freed, and I am here with attorneys Brandy Thomas, Misty Simmons, and Seth Conant. Thank you for being here. We are going to be talking today about how the loss of a business or the loss of a job can impact the payment or receipt of child support and alimony in a divorce or family law case in Connecticut. And so we have four of Freed Marcroft's lawyers here to talk about that with us today. But let's start with attorney Misty Simmons to tell us a little bit about the difference between a layoff and a furlough.
Sure. Thanks, Megan. So a layoff is the termination of an employee when there's no longer work available. So a layoff is not reflective of the employee's quality of work, and nor is it the fault of the employee that work has dried up. But as we know, some businesses and companies face this and unfortunately are put in a position of having to lay off employees. So layoffs can either be permanent or they can be temporary. And so it's permanent if they don't have any plans of rehiring that employee when business picks back up again. In the event that they are considering a rehire, then it's considered a temporary layoff. But the way in which this is different from a furlough is that a furlough is essentially a period of time that an employer wants to keep an employee, but lays them off for a short period of time. So essentially, it is used to save the company some money while still retaining employees. And it's also possible that their staff of employees may instead work part-time instead of full-time. So it's a temporary, and the employees know at the time of the furlough that this is a temporary layoff and that they're just considered furloughed with the opportunity to come back when that furlough period has ended.
Thanks very much, Misty. Brandy, can you talk to us about something that we get asked a lot is, what do I do if I lose my business or I'm laid off? Do I just stop paying my child support or alimony? What do I do?
Sure, Megan, no problem. So the answer is no, you don't stop paying those obligations. So that would be what the court considers engaging in self-help. That's a no-no. The court orders will remain in effect unless they're modified. So there's a couple of different things that can happen. Typically, if you don't make these payments, and this isn't just typically, this is what we expect will always happen, if you are not paying your support obligations, you can be held in contempt. And contempt findings in this sort of situation could also tack on attorney's fees and costs. And it can also force you to pay a purge amount to make up for that difference. So certainly something you wouldn't want to be stuck with. It's certainly better to get ahead of this as soon as possible. So one of the best ways to do that would certainly be to reach out and talk to us about filing a motion for modification. Again, we can certainly work that out, and once that motion is filed, we can certainly try and work out an agreement and rerun your financials to figure out what can be paid, if anything, and how will this work retroactively. But certainly, we do not want to have you found in contempt. That's never something that is a great situation to find yourself in. And the way to do this would really be to be proactive. And as soon as you find out of that layoff or furlough, whatever it may be, you're going to want to get into court right away to do a motion for modification.
Brandy, I think I think that you made a really good point, because I think something that is often confusing for people is that a modification is just that. A child support or an alimony order might be modified some amount, including zero, right? That it's a wide range of where you might agree to modify, or where which would then get ordered as a court order, or where the court might order you to modify if you can't reach an agreement with your lawyers discussing it outside of court. So I'm going to turn it over to Seth now to talk to us a little bit about what the grounds are for modification, when those will be granted.
Yeah, so, and the genesis for this video really is the fact that we're all very clearly in the midst of some tumultuous times in terms of income, in terms of employment circumstances, and that's going to necessarily have an impact on what support orders or support obligations and the ability to meet them are available. As Brandy mentioned, there is an expectation that court orders get followed. That's why we felt it's so important to really alert as many people as we can to the option for seeking a modification, because the act of filing it alone will start the process, or at least alert everyone involved as well as the court that there may be something that needs to be looked at. In Connecticut, in order for there to be a modification of financial orders, of support orders, there has to be what's called a substantial change in circumstances. That means that there's been some sort of significant substantive change to either party, either the recipient or the payor, either party's financial circumstances, generally income, one way or the other, either to the good, to the bad. In this case, what we're seeing most often is a loss of job. There's different tests for what constitutes a substantial change in circumstance, but pretty universally, a loss of employment through no fault of your own is considered a substantial change in circumstances that would allow for a review of what support should be. It's not an automatic cancellation, but it does trigger a review to determine, based on the new circumstances after the change, what the support orders may be. The filing of a motion for modification starts the clock running in terms of retroactivity for any potential modification. That's another reason we really encourage, if there's been some sort of job status change, whether it's a loss of employment or a furlough situation, that it really is wise to seek some sort of relief as quickly as possible. Even if the ultimate relief doesn't come until farther down the road, the measuring stick for when that relief may enter is really important. And we want to start that clock as early as possible, especially during these difficult and confusing financial times. One situation where there's a little bit of a wrinkle is some folks have found that this is a time for, rather than just a loss of a job with the hope of finding something else, actually a time, to kind of end their working career, and their job is ending, but they're receiving a severance package. A severance package is a little bit of a wrinkle, although yes, it is a change in the job status. Generally, severance operates to continue to pay the potential support payor or the recipient the same income that they had for a period of time. Because of that, although there has been a job status change, the income level hasn't necessarily changed. So the question of whether a modification is presently available may be a little bit more complicated, which is something certainly that would benefit from a little more legal analysis and a little bit more inquiry. With regard to furlough, however, it's kind of the other side of the same coin. That's something that you want to get filed as quickly as possible, because although you may return to work and hopefully return to work at the same level with the same income soon, there is going to be a period of time where you have been operating under either the reduced or zeroed out income level. And if you have a modification pending, the court still has the ability to modify the support obligation during that time of the changed circumstance, so that you can get some relief that does reflect and the difficulty of the circumstances you're in. It's important to note that all of those things do need to be filed with the court. And as many of these other videos we've done have articulated, the court system is a little bit limited right now. I think it's important to note, though, that, and I can speak for, I think, our direct colleagues as well as a lot of our colleagues in the bar, that all folks are going through this challenge right now, and counsel attorneys are really committed to trying to come up with solutions for spouses, for ex-spouses, for parents, for co-parents, to figure out a way to accommodate the need for some financial adjustment without the need for protracted court intervention, knowing that there's always an option if and when courts resume. But in the meantime, there's a lot of opportunity to be smart about trying to make some changes by agreement so that everyone can have a little relief and be able to manage to get through this together. So yes, there's a test, and the test is a substantial change in circumstances. I think it's important, if there has been any job change situation, that a modification be considered promptly. The longer you wait, the less relief you may be entitled to or eligible for. every circumstance is unique. I think it's also important that we have handled every stripe of kind of modification or job change circumstance, and we really enjoy the opportunity to work with folks to discover exactly what they need, or what we can do to provide that avenue of potential relief, particularly during this time when there's so much uncertainty. So hopefully that's a general overview of the modification process, as well as some of the nuances outside of simply just loss of job, which is undoubtedly a substantial change in circumstances that would warrant a review.
Thank you so much. Please give us a call if there's anything that we can help you with. Modifications are extremely fact specific. And so once we dig into the circumstances of what's going on in your case, we can develop a plan and orchestrate the timing of the filing and any negotiations that we can do to avoid the need to go to court, and then representation in court if it gets to that level. Please give us a call or reach out to us so we can help you. Thank you so much again, Attorneys Thomas, Simmons, and Conant, for being with me. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and please let us know if we can be of help.